Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we'll talk about what came in episode 12 and 13. So guys, as you know, the first part of the anime has been completed with the release of 2 episodes. The first one was a continuation of Ishin's flashback, while the second episode dealt with the events of Ichigo's real Zanpakuto. But in general, the 2 episodes answered an important question. Why is Ichigo so strong? What is the reason for his strength? This question was already asked to Kubo before the beginning of the final arc, and Kubo had answered at the time that the answer of this question is found in Ishin's past, in exactly how Ichigo was born. If you notice, in Kubo's answer, he said that the bloodline of each person will become clear, and blood frankly plays a big role in the power of the characters in Bleach, especially when we talk about Ichigo. Why? First of all, as it appeared to you, Masaki, the mother of Ichigo, is a Quincy, but not any Quincy. She considered to be a pure-blooded, and they call this gender of Quincy's Echt. I mean, you can't call them, they are the nobles of the Quincy's. This pure-blooded class, naturally, they have powers that others of their gender don't have. And the simplest example we have is the BLEACH ability. All the Echt Quincy's born having this ability. As Ishin said, Masaki being a pure blood had extraordinary defensive BLEACH. However, in the other side, imagine with me that the hybrid Quincy's are not born with this ability, and as a result, they have to practice for a long time in order to acquire it. That's why the issue of blood plays a major role in a person's power, which means there are some characters born strong and with certain skills only because their blood is pure, while others are not. That's why when the Grand Fisher returned at the beginning of the Arankara arc and wanted to search for Ichigo, as soon as he saw that Ishin is Ichigo's father, he said to him, "Now I understand why I lost to Ichigo, because he is a Shinkitsu, true blood." And now I only talked about Ichigo's pure blood from his mother's side. In the flashback we also learned that Ichigo's father Ishin is not also an ordinary Shinigami, but rather a noble one from the Shiba family. And by the way, we're not talking about any noble family. There are many noble families in Siriti, like Kyoraku, he's noble, Okitake, even Kira belongs to one of the noble families. But when we talk about Shiba, this family was among the 5 great noble families in the Soul Society. Therefore, we have the blood of a noble Quincy plus the blood of a noble Shinigami. And so this mixture of pure blood gave us a hybrid character named Ichigo Kurosaki. And as a fact, nothing like this has ever happened in the history of the Soul Society. That marriage of a Shinigami with a human, because Kubo already answered this matter when someone asked him why Rukia could not recognize Ishin when she came to Ichigo's house, based on the fact that Rukia was an officer in the 13th Division when Ishin was the captain of the 10th Division. Kubo said in his answer that one of the reasons that made Rukia not believe that that person is Ishin is due to the thought of the Shinigami, which is not possible for a Shinigami to marry another race, to marry a human. It can't happen because the difference of nature of each person. The Shinigami in the end is just a soul, not a physical body, while the human being is a soul with a physical body. And therefore, throughout the history of the Soul Society, there was no way for such thing to happen. But Urahara Kisuke is the only one who was able to create a Gigai with a unique characteristics than any other Gigai. A Gigai is able to enable Ishin to have a sexual relationship with a human being. Therefore, this Gigai was not an ordinary Gigai, but gave Ishin all the human characteristics, including marriage, so that he was able to give birth to Ichigo, Karin, and Yuzo. Of course, since Ichigo was the first son of both Masaki and Ishin, he got their powers, the power of the Quincy and the power of the Shinigami. The Quincy power was formed in the form of the founder of the Quincy's, Yūhaba. And again I'm talking about the form, not Yūhaba himself. While the Shinigami power merged with White, which is considered like an Asauchi, and formed Shirosaki. The combination of these 2 powers within this child made him special from the start. And this explains why Ichigo had great spiritual power since his childhood. Ichigo from a young age was able to see souls to the point that he didn't differentiate between them and the living. Therefore, all the characters who participated in the flashback had their eyes on Ichigo from a young age. The first of them was Aizen Sasuke, The latter, after seeing Masaki's intervention in Ishin's fight against White, he felt that this intervention might result in something. And it is ironic how Aizen Sasuke was present at the meeting to which Ishin attended in order to provide the Sotaicho with the report regarding his going to the real world and his fight against the creature White. And if you notice, Mayuri was upset that Ishin couldn't bring the remains of White, because if he brought White to the Soul Society, Aizen's plan may be exposed. That's why the latter intervened to prevent Ishin from defeating White and taking him with him. The important thing is that after that incident, there is no doubt that Aizen kept his eyes watching Ishin and knew that he has a marriage with Masaki and then the birth of Ichigo. So he told Ichigo in the past that he knew him from the start, since his birth. So he knew that this child is not an ordinary person, he is a Shinigami and Quincy at the same time. So he decided to do experiments on him by trying to test his strength, by sending that holo, and he knew the rest of the story. While Urahara Kisuke knew that Ichigo is a Quincy in the Shinigami because he was the reason of the rescue of Ichigo's mom. And so almost everyone knew Ichigo's identity except for Ichigo himself. And more than that, and this is the most important, Ichigo's inner powers were hiding their identity also from him. Because as I said, we have Quincy power formed in the form of Yhwach 1000 years ago, and there is Shirosaki who represents the Shinigami power of Ichigo. But what I'm sure of is that the Osan Zangetsu was the one who formed the first before Shirosaki. So when the Osan Zangetsu learned the amount of Shinigami power that Ichigo possesses, it made him decide not to allow Ichigo to become a Shinigami. Who knows that the Osan maybe had memories of Yhwach himself or a future vision about Ichigo. If he becomes a Shinigami, he will have to fight Yhwach in the end and he might kill him. That's why I say that the last words of the Osan Zangetsu about him killing Ichigo were meant by the real Yhwach, that Yhwach will kill him in the end. And also guys, as you notice, the Osan from the beginning, he was trying to suppress Ichigo's strength as much as possible. Only in serious situations where did we see some of that great power appears, whether against Saraki, Byakuya or Illichura. But in general, Ichigo's great power is due to the pure blood that flows in his veins, whether from Shinigami or Quincy side. That's why we saw in the end that the two powers were formed in the form of two blades, a long blade which is the Shinigami side, and the short blade is the Quincy side of Ichigo. What I wonder about is the nature of the relationship between the Osan Zangetsu and Shirosaki. Did Shirosaki really want to take over Ichigo's body, or was it just a plan between him and the Osan? Because if you notice, in the first scene between the Osan and Shirosaki, there was a kind of agreement between them. Even when Ichigo wanted to use the Getsuga Tensho, we notice how the Osan in his young form directed Shirosaki to fight with him. It's obvious that Shirosaki is Ichigo's strongest attacking power, but it seems that the Osan had a special ability that enables him to control Shirosaki to the point of hiding Ichigo's real Zanpakuto. So guys, tell me your opinion about the two episodes and see you in my next video.